Dorks Like Us, covering the entertainment for you.
Hey, what's up everyone? Foxhounder N313 here. Okay, so today we're going to talk about the Nintendo Switch Virtual Console service, which at the moment is something we don't know much about. Now, as I talked about before, they are going to have one free virtual console game every month with their new paid online subscription service that you keep for 30 days. And they're adding some sort of new online functionality to those games, so you might be able to play some of them online and have like competitive or cooperative multiplayer. Now at the moment, it seems to be just limited to NES and Super NES titles. And you could sort of glean from that that's what's going to be there at launch, is NES and Super NES games. There could be more. That could just be the games that they're just talking about the ones that are going to have online, and maybe they'll have N64 and Game Boy at launch as well, which would be great. But I'm going to assume for now that that's what's there, and other console services will be rolled out over time. Now, one of the biggest questions I think a lot of people have, including myself, is will cross-buy finally be there? Will our purchases that we've made on the Virtual Console, on the Wii U and 3DS, carry over to the Switch? Or will there once again be some sort of upgrade fee there? So for those that don't know, if you were someone who owned a Wii, and then you bought a Wii U, and let's say you had a decent amount of Virtual Console games, let's say you just had one, and you wanted to upgrade it to your Wii U, and have it so you could play it with your gamepad or your Pro Controllers or what have you. It would cost $1.50 to do that. Now you contrast this with something like PlayStation Network, or going back to the PS3 generation, the 7th generation. If you bought a PS1 game on your PS3, and let's say you had a PSP or a Vita, you could carry that purchase over to those systems. Also keep in mind that with the PlayStation 1 classics, those are full 3D games. Those were made a bit more recently than a lot of the Virtual Console games on Nintendo service. Most of those are NES and Super NES games, which are of course 8 and 16-bit. Now they do have N64 games, of course, and those are 3D, but the vast majority of titles on the Virtual Console service are NES, Super NES, and Game Boy titles. And cross-buy is still a feature that's a part of the PlayStation Network ecosystem. If you buy a indie game that's supported on other PlayStation platforms, all you have to do is buy it once. So for instance, I bought Retro City Rampage back in December, I think, and after I bought it, they informed me that I could download it to my PS3 and my Vita as well. And that's the way it should work. It's the same case with like smartphones. If you have an Android phone, for instance, and I assume it works with iOS as well, or Apple phones, but for me, I'm an Android user, so I can only speak about Android. But if you have a phone, if you have an Android phone, you have a Google account, and all the purchases you make on the Google Play Store are tethered to that account. And if your phone craps out or you just want to upgrade to a new one, all you have to do is input that Google account and you can load up all your purchases. You don't have to rebuy anything again. You don't have to pay an upgrade fee. Now, I've been trying to figure out why that upgrade fee was there with, going from the Wii to the Wii U. And a lot of people say it was because there was no unified account system in place at that point. And you can make that case, but I think if the system knows that you already had the game, that's how it, knows to give you a discount on the Wii U eShop for these titles you already have, then it knows you already have the games. So I don't think that quite flies. If it knows you have the game and knows to give you a discount, it knows you have the game. So it should just give it to you for free. But I think a possible reason for why there was an upgrade fee was because of the gamepad. Because all Virtual Console games had off TV play. They actually all streamed simultaneously to the TV and gamepad at the same time. And I think adding that extra feature in there possibly made it so that they had to put a little extra work and a little extra time into porting these games over. I don't know that for sure. Maybe it's a really simple process and they're just trying to nickel and dime us. That's very well could be the possibility, or a possibility, but I'm trying to look at it from a different perspective. And also you have the difficult architecture of the Wii U system in general, in comparison to other consoles. So that's a possibility. Now what that doesn't explain is why there was no cross-buy in place between the 3DS and Wii U. Because there is a unified account system there. You can share the same Nintendo Network ID between the 3DS and Wii U. So it doesn't quite explain why there's not even a discount fee in place there. If you want to have the same Virtual Console game on your 3DS and Wii U, you have to buy the game twice at full price. Now, the unified account system may also be the reason why there was no cross-buy in place, because it wasn't added until midway into the 3DS's life cycle. And I'm sure there were a lot of people that bought some of those Virtual Console games twice between their 3DS and Wii U, and Nintendo didn't want to refund those people. So that's a distinct possibility. And the Wii U's difficult architecture, as well as the off-TV play that they had to have with all of these games, that might have created the issue of why the releases on the Virtual Console have been so sparse. Because if you look at what's on the Virtual Console to the Wii compared to the Wii U, it's a night and day difference. The Wii had way more games, and a lot more third-party games. I remember, I think the Super Star Wars trilogy was on the Wii's Virtual Console. The Wii U's Virtual Console, though, was lacking severely in the quantity department. But now we're going to the Nintendo Switch, and the Switch doesn't have a dual screen gimmick, the Switch doesn't have difficult architecture, and the Switch will have the same account system in place that the Wii U and 3DS had. So there shouldn't be any reason why they should have to do an upgrade fee or make you pay full price for the games again. We should just get these games that we've already purchased for free. And hopefully the lineup will be much better. Now, in a perfect world, if I were Nintendo, the way I would handle the Virtual Console this time around is I would try to dump as many of my own first-party titles that I've got into the Virtual Console day one. And that way, hardcore Nintendo fans that are going to get the system early, like myself, can have a bit more there to play. Now, with the third-party games, I could understand why those wouldn't be there day one. You have to get the permission to put those games on there, or the third parties have to decide when they want to put those games on the service, and there's a lot of hurdles you have to go through in order to make that happen. So they could piece those games out over time, like they have done with every game on the Wii U, Virtual Console wise, and that would be fine. I could understand that. But with their own first-party stuff, there's really no reason to piece it out and try to hype people up over it with a little Virtual Console trailer on the Nintendo YouTube channel. It just seems kind of pointless. They're old games, people have played them a bazillion times, they're not getting hyped over them. I don't suspect that it would happen, but again, that's how I would handle it, and I think people would be pretty happy about that. And I would also try to have more than just NES and Super NES there day one. It would be great if they could get Game Boy, Game Boy Color, Game Boy Advance, Game Gear even. Which again, that falls into the third-party category, so I don't know. N64, Wii, if you can pull that off, DS, if you can pull that off. Just gives me theirs you can get day one, and give people a lot to choose from. Because the people that will have the system in the first few months will be the hardcore fans. Those will be the people that had a Wii U, had a 3DS, and like me probably had more than 15 or so Virtual Console games that they bought. I've got 15 plus, most of which are first-party games, most of which are NES and Super NES games. So if they got all this right, I would have quite a bit to play on the system at launch besides Zelda Breath of the Wild. And I'm not knocking the launch lineup, as I've said. It's, no launch lineup is that impressive, but it would be nice to have those, smaller / older games there to kind of fill out my collection a little bit and give me something to kind of play on the side. But the question remains, will they get it right this time? Now, you could look at the fact that they didn't announce anything at that conference and take that as sort of an ominous sign. I don't know. I don't want to read too much into that. Logically, you'd think if you were going to improve it this time around and let people carry their purchases over, you would say something about it ASAP. Like, that would be one of the things you would start off with when you're talking about all this online stuff. But they didn't, and that's potentially concerning. But again, I'm not going to get my panties in a bunch until we actually get some sort of confirmation on something. All I can say for now is I hope they get it right, and I'll be keeping my ear to the ground on this, and I'll be back to discuss something whenever something is announced. So stay tuned, and I'll be sure to keep you guys updated on that. And be sure to hit the like button, subscribe to us if you haven't already, leave a comment down below, and let me know your thoughts on the Switch Virtual Console service. And stay tuned for more content from Dorks Like Us. This is Foxhounder N313 signing off. God bless.